Alright, what's up guys? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Robbie and I go by the tag RobbieAK47. I'm a Shulk main and a Twitch streamer from the UK, and I primarily focus on Smash Ultimate content as well as Xenoblade content and community games with my stream. And recently, the reason for this video is that recently I've been focusing on improving my gameplay, and I'd kind of use today as an opportunity to share my new perspective on Neutral with everyone here. To help you guys think a little bit deeper about the game, even in the kind of current limited environment that is Ultimate Online. And I'm kind of doing that by using this neutral document which I call Neutral.Docx. And it's pretty much a detailed summary of how to approach Neutral as Shulk, and it focuses on concepts that I didn't once think about, such as utilising burst range, having proper resource management, and improving your kind of overall understanding of stage control. Now, don't just take this as a Shulk guide, it can also be applied to other characters in different ways, as we'll be kind of discussing. So things like approaching and not approaching and so on. But yeah, please let me know what you think of the video. This is the first time that I've done something like this, so definitely drop a comment. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And also, if you have any questions throughout the video about Shulk Neutral, otherwise, about your own Neutral, how to improve, I'm happy to respond to any of you guys in the comment. Anyway, without further ado, to the video. This app I like to call Notion, so I'll tell you a bit about Notion, guys. Notion's what I've been using for note taking recently. Oh, there's a bit of a preview of Neutral.Docx. Essentially, this Notion template, I'll send you guys the video link right now as well, actually. Let me get it. Derusting, Diddy. Hopefully it will come up. Yeah. Cool. So you don't have to watch this whole video, but if you want to know where this resource is from and who kind of inspired me to use Notion and start like writing notes down properly, then it is JJ Rocket's video right here, where he's trying to derust his Diddy after being on a 1-year hiatus from competitive play, which seems like a really good point to start if you're a pro player. Yeah, Super, it works on phone and also PC. So there's different sections to it. You've got matchups, combos, neutral, advantage. You can make your own sections as well, like odd notes and things like that. And kind of, I'll talk you through matchups. You get to kind of give them a ratio. And then also what you think you want to ban against them. So I know Banjo and Kazooie, they love the side plats to camp with eggs and stuff out Shulk's approaches. So I ban Kalos against them. It's got their weight here as well, so you know what class of weight they are. I've not done it for everyone, I've only done it for a selection of characters, but it's quite cool. Man, we love indexing. It's very cool, like the way it comes up, the icons, stuff like that. Combos, I've not got anything in yet. Right, there's neutral. Advantage, you can split into different things like juggling, edge guarding, Shulk ledge trapping, etc. Disadvantage, got all of these options. I don't think I've filled out any of them. It's definitely a work in progress at the moment, but this is kind of where the idea of Neutral.Docx started. This was from watching this set here, if I can bring it up very briefly, where it was me versus Yusef, and Ramses did a really good review on this, and it got me to reconsider a lot of concepts on how I approach Neutral. And there's a perfect freeze frame here of what's wrong with my Neutral. So I'm about to get hit by a bear here. Yeah. So, not to like harper on the point a bit, but I don't see, both my arts are down there, but I'm still aggressing, and that makes no sense. I need to think more about resource conservation, and that's where the whole document comes in. And there's also some concepts that can be applied to other characters as well, so it's definitely useful to have a review from like a top level coach like Ramses. So I'd highly recommend getting coaching or VOD review from Ramses. So what this kind of boils down to is reconsidering how I approach Neutral in kind of multiple aspects. So obviously there's the concept of using speed as a zone breaking tool, right? It kind of closes the space between Shulk and his opponent. You don't want to be closing that space in vanilla because your approaches are so linear. Your safety is worse and you have less options out of disadvantage. So the first thing to kind of consider there, I suppose, just jumping straight into it, is playing the burst range mix-up. And this is something I've not thought about before. So you could call me stupid if I've not thought about this. That's absolutely fine. It's why I'm kind of plateauing at mid-level. Is kind of using speed to bait a reaction and then punishing based off that reaction. So if they react in a certain way when I use speed art, I can use that as data. So if I dash dance and they do something, I use that as data. Next time they do the same thing, I punish them. Or I catch them in the middle of them trying to punish what I'm doing in speed art with a whiff punish. For example, I dash into them, they grab, and then I dash back out before the grab comes out. Then I can whiff punish them. So it's things like that, that if you add that layer of gameplay, it makes speed art way more threatening. So that's like the first thing. And then there's the second thing, which is when do you actually approach with speed art? When do you be aggressive? When do you have that invitation to start pressuring your opponent? And I think what's really important to realize there is if you're passive with speed art, then it's an invitation to use speed aggressively, not just jump into the opponent, right? But to either tomahawk, either like nair into them, because they are at that point they're trying to respect your burst range. And if you know they're trying to respect your burst range and they understand this mix-up of dashing to bait something, then they leave themselves vulnerable. If they shield too much, we can grab them. So yeah, dash grab here, we can dash attack, and nair. Because they are playing around your burst range, they have limited grounded options to actually beat what we want to do to them. Hello, you're here to learn neutral, very good. This is a Shulk specific bit, to be fair, at the start. But it makes a lot of sense, right? If they are playing passive, then you don't play to their reaction or expect them to react. You play against their passiveness and you don't let them play passive. So that makes a lot of sense. So essentially, if the opponent is playing passive, then you can threaten approaching theirs to catch them up close. Or you can integrate tomahawks if they stay grounded and try to parry or shield the approaching there. So it's just multiple ways to get in basically. And there's a multitude of mix-ups that speed unlocks in neutral and what makes it so powerful. So when we think about it that way, speed's probably our second best, or if not our best Monado art, because it opens that insane burst range. So, and like an aside to that, I suppose the tip is you don't need to use speed art in neutral to beat aggressive opponents. So if someone's aggressing you and they're kind of holding in and pressing buttons, you don't need to use speed art because one, it messes up your spacing sometimes. Two, there's like, you can literally just retreating fair or retreating nair or retreating bear and you'll beat that option, or you can just space your aerials and catch people jumping in. That's more of a Shulk thing though, but it's also people with resources that boost their movement speed, like Accelerator. You don't need to use Accelerator if your opponent is approaching. You should use it to pressure light speed and improve your burst range. Right, so that's the first thing, right? And then this is kind of like the second realization, for a Shulk main at least, is how to kind of utilize the arts. And what I'm getting wrong with Buster is I'm trying to push too hard for these like cool combos and shit, when I should wait to get the neutral win and then push for the cool combos. And that's not just because they're cool, they're optimal, right? They're like, they deal like 80% or so. They snow globes, and they do like absolute shit tons of damage, yeah? So what I should use Buster Art for is being used defensively, because it has better shield safety and better reward on a hit, right? Makes sense. Space Buster aerials are hard for the opponent to find a way in. This also makes sense. And the threat of getting a grab or hitting Buster will force one of two situations, and these two situations are kind of like broken into two. Either they will refuse to approach Buster Art Shulk. In this scenario, you can keep Buster Art on to deter the opponent from approaching, and use Buster Art to recharge your other arts as the opponent does not approach. And if they approach, they will be forced to contest with Buster Art aerials in the neutral. And the art has high reward and low risk, so it can be switched off at any time. So it's very low risk for me to switch on Buster, and I shouldn't be afraid to just turn it on in neutral and be like, so you want to approach? Okay, you have to deal with this. Oh, if you get me, oh, I'm going to switch to shield or smash and stop you from getting much mileage off that neutral win. What I do at the moment is I approach in Buster Art, which is wrong. And I also, I try to switch it on at like the wrong times, such as like at the ledge and at disadvantage and things like that. So It will definitely help if you think about it in this way, where it can be used in neutral. It could be an invitation, yeah, Rek, you're right there. It could be an invitation for more damage, but because it's so low risk, it's dependent on your cooldowns, which is the next section. If you have shield or smash, and you use Buster Art as a walling tool, and someone approaches you and tries to beat you out, maybe score some damage, they either get hit and they take damage, or you switch to shield and you take max like 10-15%, unless they like true combo you off a grab. So, and that's hard to do. It's hard to true combo someone off a grab if they're warding with aerials and neutral as well. And they have mix-ups in Buster as well. You got Buster down tilt, which is safe on shield. So it's hard for opponents to slowly get in. But I see what you mean, right? It's an invitation for a reward of more damage, but it's skewed in the favor of Shulk. If Shulk lands that hit, he's getting way more damage than if you're landing one hit on Buster Shulk. And I think that's a really like crucial way to think about Buster Art. So that's kind of that. And that ties into this next section, which is like more in depth for Shulk. So what this kind of comes down to is how you use vanilla Shulk. So you saw in that clip against Youssef, I did like a approaching like reverse nair to try catch him out, like just in the air generally. But what I should be thinking about instead of using vanilla and neutral to either approach or to like retreat, I should be using it to play passively essentially, and it should be used primarily as a defensive tool. Because think about Shulk without all his Monado arts, think about just vanilla Shulk. So yeah, so the thing with this is that you basically play vanilla Shulk passively and defensive for other Monado arts in neutral beside Buster. So Buster and neutral, obviously you play passively and defensive as well. And this is because what cooldowns mean to Shulk and what having the arts mean to him in neutral. So with all 5 arts, Shulk is arguably sick. With all 5 arts, Shulk is arguably the best character in the game, or like top 3. Without the arts, he's a mid-tier, as I've explained. And what you need to realize here is having these Monado arts accessible in different situations. So having them at the ledge, for example, you're in speed art and neutral, and you nair them, and suddenly they're at the ledge, and they do a really bad jump, and you've got smash art, and they're dead at 70. If you don't have that smash art, you cannot capitalize on that situation nearly as much. And that's what kind of ties into this section. So for example, like I said here, a simple example is using speed to win neutral and then switching to smash in advantage state. You get much more threatening advantage state because you have the ability to kill them super early. But if you just use speed to push them at the ledge and then brought up the dial and realize smash is on cooldown, then your advantage is like way more watered down, right? It's all common sense, but not enough Shulk to think about this. At least at like mid-level and below. So basically what's going on here is Ramses has rather helpfully created a Monado art dependency chart. I'll change the music a bit slightly, it's a little bit... It's nice, but it's a little bit much. Is that piano version? Oh, very cool. Nice. So yeah, so this should serve to kind of remind you how Monado arts interact with one another and why it's crucial to have their cooldowns align and adjusting your gameplay to have your dependencies available in combat. And the second facet to this is realizing how your Monado art dependencies will impact your opponent's behavior. So for example, your opponent has a reaction to each Monado art that you use, right? If you play speed, they're going to try and not get naired. They're going to try play around your burst range, like I discussed earlier. If you use smash, they're going to naturally be more scared and try to like camp or kind of stall out smash art, right? Or use their shield more because shield beats smash. That's a person shield, by the way, not smash art. Shield art, sorry. So a person's shield does beat smash art because it's so low damage on shield. Shield safety, basically. Alright, and then when you use smash, people navigate your kill options. And when you're hit by a multi-hit move, for example, nair at low percent, the opponent will have a reaction to using shield or smash. So for example, if you use shield versus Palu, they'll try to score another like falling nair to continue the combo on shield art on reaction. Which is what zone does to me an absolute load offline, and that's just because I'm also piloting shield art. And they'll have a reaction if you get hit too far out of the combo with smash art. They'll be like, oh, I've got to respect this. I can't get him. Let me go back to the ground. But the kind of key thing to take away from this is they'll want you to keep your Monado arts on cooldown and for Shulk to become his worst possible form, which is without the Monado arts, like I said. But in neutral, if you keep in mind your cooldowns, you'll have a wealth of options to consider, and these are the options, right? So speed at low percent is dependent on Buster, because speed art combos can lead into Buster strings. At mid percent, they can lead into Buster strings, which can lead into jump strings as well. So speed art to knock them off stage, get jump. Speed art to hit them into a tech situation, get a Buster. Speed art at high percent to lead to a kill and smash art, right? Makes sense. Jump, you have low percent, it's not dependent on anything, you shouldn't be using it. However, at mid percent, use speed to knock them off stage. There we go, there's a dependency as you see there. And then at high percent, also dependent on speed, because speed wins you neutral so many times that naturally this to this is more powerful than vanilla win to this, because you've not got the same momentum from speed and you're less likely to win neutral in vanilla. Like a lot less likely. Is a bad character. Well, not a bad character, like mid tier. And then shield is obviously dependent on smash because both are combo breakers at different percent, especially low percent combos. Shulk main should be using smash art more. And that's because it sends you far enough to not get the follow up from the combo, and they also can't just shield art combo you because of the low KB. So that's really useful. And then Buster at low percent is dependent on shield or smash. So obviously to not take as much damage like I discussed earlier and to use Buster Art properly in neutral, you'll need to have shield or smash available. You should never use Buster Art in neutral if you don't have shield or smash, especially against multi-hit moves where you can Monado Art cancel, dial, all of that stuff. And then at mid percent, obviously Buster into smash strings. We all know them, they're pretty devastating, ideally, yeah. And then smash is dependent on shield. And for example, smash at like mid percent can push the opponent off stage because it's got such large knockback. And then you follow up with jump to gimp them. For example, their jump's gone at 60 or something with smash art fair. Jump gives you that right momentum to catch them before they can snap the ledge. So that dependency is quite important. And the summary of why these are all really important to Shulk is if the opponent doesn't realize this Monado Art dependency exists and refuses to approach vanilla or Buster Shulk, you get your cooldowns back. Great, that's ideal. Better players will probably realize that the Monado Art dependency exists, and when they do, they are playing to your cooldowns. So in this way, you can kind of influence their behavior and score kills, right? So, for example, where the opponent approaches aggressively or tries to beat out your defensive walling, especially in the so basically the opponent will try to approach, and then this is where your defensive walling comes in to stop them from achieving that approach and then getting your cooldowns back. So basically the crux of it is using vanilla and Buster to stop people from approaching so that you get speed, you get jump, and you get smash when you most need them, and shield. So that's super important. Buster has the lowest cooldown, so it's very easy to get Buster back. It's actually not a crucial Monado Art in neutral. Very easy to get Buster back, so you can use it in neutral. 10-second cooldown, I think. The rest have really large cooldowns, like between like 16 to 20 seconds on all of them. I think shield's the largest, if I'm not wrong. Like 20-second cooldown, might be wrong. So Buster Art, not that important. Having speed on deck in neutral is so crucial. It's not like the be all end all of your game plan, but if you structure your game plan around having speed available when it most matters, which is a lot of the time, then your neutral becomes a lot more consistent, right? You're not approaching in Buster Art, you're not trying to wall with your telegraphed aerials in vanilla, are you? You're exerting real pressure with speed because you have that burst range mixed up. So I think that's really important to just hammer that one home. No, it's not here. I just get back head here, don't I? Like that. no reason to do that. And I think if I bring up my dial here, I will do it very shortly in the clip. Or I'm playing like vanilla aggressively. Yeah, okay, then I got speed. And then he's like, right, that's a great speed arc, because I won neutral there. And then this is a great smash arc. This is an exact example. Right, got my pressure, got the jump, easy win. If I faired him without smash arc, he wouldn't die. That's a clear example of why you need to like conserve your Monado arts to Shulk and focus your gameplay around their cooldowns. So yeah, I think that made sense. Yeah. Right, and then there's situations like if your shield's up and smashes down, play lane, Buster and Vanilla, get it back. If Buster's up and shield and smash it down, play Vanilla at least until one of those is off cooldown. Really important that, because otherwise they do get a lot of mileage off Buster. Jump up and speed down, play Vanilla for speed or read a jump. And then this is like the second area of Neutral.Docx, and this applies more generally to characters rather than just Shulk, right? So it's best to be aggressive against Shulk while he's in vanilla, and less so when he has his arts. I would say mix it up, obviously, but yeah, you don't want to let him just set up his vanilla wall and get all of his arts back, especially if it's gonna, if he knows about the Monado art dependency, right? If the Shulk doesn't know about the Monado art dependency and just burns his arts, just beat him for doing whatever he's doing in each art. Like, he's not focusing on getting these arts at crucial situations, so his advantage becomes like 10 times worse, right? But if he does know about the Monado art dependency and he's kind of camping, essentially, to get speed back and to get jump back and to get smash back, if you can see he's camping, try to catch onto his patterns and either stuff him out as he jumps, or parry his landing aerials in vanilla, as they're very punishable. So it's things like that, right? And I think that's like, so it's honestly dependent on your opponent. If they have the Monado art dependency down, you should be scared of them just recharging their arts for free. Because if they know what to do with those arts and they know how to get that advantage, they're going to kill you at like 70 every time, maybe even 80. That's why this character is so threatening in the right hands. And I think a lot of Shulks just fall into the trap of activating arts on the go, rather than situation based, using vanilla and Buster to make sure you have all of those arts on the go. So, and I don't think camping necessarily means dash back, it just means occupying a certain amount of space to kind of, you know, stuff your opponent out, right? But yeah, no, I see what you mean, SK, right? I would definitely try to aggress him, but you have to bear in mind that if you are aggressing him while he's in vanilla trying to get his arts back, you're playing to his cooldowns, and he can use that information to obviously intercept what you want to do. If you're playing to, for example, him getting speed art back, then he knows this, and then he'll dash back and try to like whiff punish you. In an ideal world, right? Online's not going to be like that. Online they're going to try to, and anything will happen, right? But offline, with reactions, it becomes a lot more of an interesting game, especially with this. I've done it on Yuzu against Matt as well, and it's really coming through. Right. And then this second bit is about how you understand stage control and claiming space. And Rams has made a really clear example here of when MKLeo, for example, does his dashbacks as Joker, he will immediately try to reclaim the space that he lost. So this is how you kind of, in tandem, use movement. So you get your movement right, you're mixing up where you are, your positioning, etc. But you also don't give up stage control, which is one of my major issues, right? One of my major issues is I corner myself, right? And the reason I corner myself is because of two reasons. Either I dash back and don't try to reclaim the space. So for example, I'll show you a situation versus you. Okay, so I think this is a good example. So I dash in. Oh wait. So yeah, I'm in center. I got speed. Okay, I do a mix up there. I dash back, and that space right there, rather than trying to claim this space here that I just lost. So if I could illustrate it, there would be like a line here. I tried to claim more. I tried to do a reverse nair and claim this amount here. And in that way, the opponent can just catch on to you so much better, right? like Yusuf does here. I'm pretty sure he does, we'll do like a neutral B. Yeah. So that's me being greedy and trying to claim more than what I've got. I don't need to claim that space. I'm in center stage. I don't need to push that far. I can hold this left side of the Pokeball and be quite comfortable. So that's kind of one example of what it means and what my issue is. So there are kind of like, the concept boils down essentially, I think it's from Art of War as well. It's called contested ground, right? And it's known as the area of the battlefield when neither you or your opponent has the advantage. So you can imagine someone standing under the PS2 platform and someone standing in center stage. Nobody particularly has the advantage in that space between the two of them because they all have all their options still available, right? Obviously, for example, Joker, if MKLo was there, is close to the corner, which is obviously putting him in a more perilous situation should he not be able to contest that ground. But that ground between them is contested and it's absolutely like equal chips whoever gets it. So basically the opponent will try to stop you from reclaiming that ground and claim further stage control by pushing you into the corner, right? Makes sense. However, if you contest the ground, it should be harder for the opponent to claim the stage for free. And there's kind of two facets to this, or two kind of concepts. Firstly, you can give up too much space and give the opponent advantage in holding that ground. For example, at the ledge or at the platform close to the ledge, you failed to contest the space before that, and you've enabled, so like I said, that space between the Pokeball and the edge of the PS2 platform, and you put yourself in a bad situation. Or you give up space and then you try to claim too much. That other example I showed you where I tried to nair into Yusuf. And so the idea here is that you dash back and then rather thinking about claiming the space, you just gave up and you end up overextending instead. And this is like overextending in neutral, and this makes your approach is pretty much less safe and enables your opponent to have more time. It's essentially time. You're giving them more time to call out you trying to claim more space, because generally you're approaching at that point. So it makes sense, right? So if you shift your gameplay to focus less on giving up less and focusing on claiming what you gave up rather than overextending, then it will pay dividends for obviously Shulk in neutral and any character, I think. What kind of big brain activity? I'm trying, bro. I'm trying. Ramses like gave me the dopamine, bro. Oh, yo, we got a vocal track from Neutral.Docx. So yeah, and then Shulk has answers to challenging opponents who claim that space, right? So for example, you have short hop bear in place to cover that space and prevent your opponent from entering it, and therefore you kind of claim it back. Because otherwise, if they try to claim it back after hitting a back air on shield, they're probably going to get naired or faired or something. The back hit nair to cover the space and to prevent your opponent from aggressing into that space. So for example, if a Palu's jumping up and going, I know, this song jokes. If Palu does an approaching nair, right, like short hop or full hop nair, if you do a back hit nair, you're catching them trying to claim that space quite easily. So that's another tool to do it. And then platforms, not enough people talk about this, but platforms, they'll have to kind of challenge and call out your action off a platform or pressure you from the platform. So this opens up a wealth of kind of like shield, full hop, short hop, aerial mix-ups. And especially with speed arts, lower double jump, you can jump off the platform, see that they're trying to take a space, and then you can jump back. So you can use that double jump. Or if you see them shielding or if you're doing something off the platform, you can tomahawk and grab them. And it's the fact that the platform gives you more time to react, so focus more on reacting off the platform rather than just jumping off the platform. Focus on what your opponent's doing. Is your opponent dashing back and forth trying to get a dash attack? Don't land on the ground, jump back to the platform. Is your opponent trying to do a hard call out? That can be neutral air dodge through, neutral air dodge. Is your opponent shielding? You have the full advantage here, go for a tomahawk. Things like that I think are really important. They also force the opponent to commit if the opponent is aggressive or playing to your cooldowns. Yeah, exactly. So if they're playing to your cooldowns and you're camping on the plat. The mayor who wrote this, I wrote this. There's a lot of big words I don't understand. What don't you understand, Snow Globes? Is it this word? Because I don't know either, to be honest. This one right here. Yeah, it's a bit much, isn't it? Right, and then if there's a final bit to it really, and if the opponent is trying to avoid your aerial walling, you need some like hard cooldown options, right? You need something to give them the threat of approaching your wall. So for example, you're walling with Nair, Fair and Bear, and they're like, fuck, how do I get in? Okay, I'm gonna jump over and like hit you on whiff, or I'm gonna beat your startup. You have to have an option to like answer to that. So for example, if like Palu tries to jump at you, you can turn around and like up air them if they're trying to intercept your wall, or if they're trying to tomahawk. Just having these hard cooldown options make it sit way harder to get in on Shulk. And these are moves like up air, dash attack, dare. I said dare and dare, very cool. And kind of use these in tandem with your aerial walling to create mix up to the opponent's forster. So don't just do things for the sake of it. Like wall for a bit, you can't wall for the sake of it though. It becomes predictable and you lose. I need VODs to study, but refuse to enter Wi-Fi tournaments. Yeah, Wi-Fi tournaments are a sticky one. Like, you saw this video here, the one I did with you, and the one Ramses analysed. This is a Wi-Fi tournament, but this was such a good set in illustrating the concepts. Like, I don't think you understand, not the Samus bit, but just like, in neutral here, I jump in Buster. I'm aggressing. Did you see that? Like, I'm literally aggressing, just like I said. I may not be approaching a Buster, but I'm looking to get something started. I'm aggressing in speed there, not thinking about burst range at all, just going for a move. It's so dumb. That I got away with that, that's cool. So, once you start thinking about that, and like here, I'm in vanilla, I have no clear purpose here. I'm not stalling for Monado arts. Look, you saw there? You see the dial? My dependency's fucked. Look at this. I tried to back air. I've used speed art and disadvantage. I've only got smash art left. I'm at the ledge, nowhere near death percent for smash art. I'm still getting walled. Like, this is just bad disadvantage generally, right? But then now I've used jump art. What the fuck do I have left? I'm dead. Literally. Shulk becomes such a bad character when you start spamming his arts and you don't think about these things. One of the best ways. Yeah, exactly. If you have like a high level VOD like this, like you, I would say is a high level player. I would say I'm a mid level player. Not the Samus bit. Samus bit's absolutely fine. I won that game. All the other games I lost. So just try to get a set like this. It's 30 minutes long. It was a competitive set. He did win overall in neutral, so there was clearly something wrong. Oh, look at that freeze frame. Yeah, fuck Palu nonetheless. But if I start playing with this like burst range and things like that, it's going to make the matchup a lot easier. Look at that. With the music as well. My man's burning to cinders. And then there's a few other things I wrote back, which is just more about Palu specific shit. Close distance, just using different ledge trap distances, mixing up. But this is mainly neutral I've spoken about, so I'll kind of leave it there for neutral at least. But hopefully that was useful to some people. I mean, I think once you think about these concepts more broadly, you start to get more consistent in neutral, especially as Shulk. As other characters as well, I think contested ground is heavily underrated. I think I'm like low, mid. Just say low mid. So watching other players' VODs is really important. What do you mean, do I approach? Shulk, in the end, after discussing all of this, does Shulk approach? Only in speed art, when the opponent's playing passive. Shulk shouldn't approach in Buster. Or vanilla. So theoretically I'm playing to speed art, which is a dependency and a weakness. But if I manage my arts properly, then, you know, then Shulk becomes good. So do I approach? I mean, it's matchup dependent, right? If I can approach, I will. But if I play more like this, there's less reason for me to approach. Which is why I'm kind of hopeful Pyro and Mithra have some good approaching tools. Because I don't think Shulk's good in the CQC range, and I don't think he's good at approaching outside of his dependency on speed. So this whole doc basically tells you Shulk is one boring motherfucker at top level. Or high level. Ah. Rec, really, really good question. So, jump art, right? In neutral, it's unsafe as hell. If you land with jump art, you're asking to get like your landing trapped. Because what option do you have after you land with jump art in air? Your jump height's insane, so your aerials aren't coming out like that fast. You're probably going to shield, or you're going to roll, or pick a predictable defensive option. So, like, obviously you're at a deficit there. Like you're not winning neutral there really. Use jump art for like a zone break. I think it's a decent zone breaking tool against projectile characters. So if they're setting up a zone like gyro, laser, all of that shit, and you jump in with jump art while they're shooting the gyro, obviously you're gonna win neutral, right? And not having jump art is okay, as long as you keep that in mind for when they throw you off stage. Like, don't get into an off stage. You gotta think, once you use jump art and it's on cooldown, you gotta think for the next 20 seconds. Okay, I must avoid off stage at all costs. Even if that means camping, just do it. Like, you don't want to be in that situation off stage without jump art. You lose like 500% of your mix-ups. It's not always going to be like that. Like, sometimes opponents will just get you to burn every art. But it's like self-restraint really. And then like jump art in neutral itself is just not very safe, so I wouldn't use it. I would save jump art primarily for recovery, edge guarding, like I said, the speed to jump situation. Win neutral and speed, get jump, kill them. Gimping, smash to jump. These two situations, jump aggressively. Snake recovering high is another one, jump art up air. So it's really good for calling out like double jumps and like people going high. So I'd say high recoveries in these two situations, and generally recovering back to the stage is the only things that you should use jump art for. Never use it in neutral, because speed art is always going to break that zone better than jump art. Yeah, don't use it as discount speed art. Speed art is speed art for a reason. You don't want to like amalgamate the two, because jump art is an essential recovery tool, speed art is not. I hope you guys enjoyed the little analysis I did here. I just got kind of excited about, you know, not just discovering these concepts, but laying them out this way, and I think it will help a lot of people. I'm going to post this in the UK Shulk Board as well and see if they like it. When they got the time to watch it, obviously. I don't want to make this too long, so... Anyway, let's go raid Sleepy Boy, and I'll speak to you guys later for some Mario Kart if you're interested. Peace.